Radio, presenting The Wall, a new show for parents and teenagers navigating through difficult topics. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your host, Edwin Desamour.
You know, her parents are trailblazers. Her parents, in my mind, and according to me and according to many folks, her parents are legends, believe it or not. You know, humble legends, they won't say that. But she's surrounded around a great tribe of folks that support her. And once you hear her speak and once you hear her poetry, you will understand where it comes from. And also, your godmother is your godmother, your aunt?
My aunt.
Your
My
aunt.
aunt, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your aunt is
My titi is Evelyn Nunez. the
Evelyn
chief of schools for
Nunez.
the school district.
another trailblazer, right? Another legend in our community who comes from our community doing things. So once you hear her speak, man, then you're gonna understand. Okay, it all makes sense. It all is all we all put this together, and what happens when folks band together to raise someone. All right, Elijah. Topic introduction.
On the wall this week is decision making, specifically the life decisions we all have to make at very early ages. Is it okay that teenagers are expected to decide what they will do with their lives before they are really ready to make those decisions? What can parents do to support their teens when they start making these major decisions? Remember, the end of this show should be the beginning of your conversations. Don't be afraid to tear down the wall.
Remember, the end of the show should be the beginning of your conversations. Do not be afraid to tear down the walls. Whatever we talk about, keep this conversation going, whether we disagree or agree. But let's conversate with each other and not argue. And if we do argue, let's still respect each other. Janicet, let's get into the random question of the day.
If you had to choose between love but no money or money but no love, which would you choose and why?
That is a good question. Anybody wants to tackle that first? Anybody? Before I start picking. Is this a hard one? I want to ask first. Is this a hard one?
Nah, I choose money.
You choose money.
Yeah.
If you had to choose between love but no money or money but no love, which would you choose and why? You choose money?
Yeah.
Wow. Would you care to explain?
Like for me, you don't really need love. It's just there.
Really?
Yeah.
Or do you think love is just there? You expect it to just be there? Or what do you mean? Break it down. Because I'm curious. I'm not knocking you or judging. I'm just hearing from a young person because you're speaking probably for many young people who are thinking just like you. I mean, even some adults. So you choose money over love.
Yeah.
All right. So you said love is just there. Explain that.
I mean, it's not like, my thing is you need to live, like money helps you live. Love, you could just, have it or not. That's just my thing.
So money, so you can live off of money, but you can't live off of love.
Yeah, that's just my thing.
All right. What is love to you? What do you consider love? Maybe I got to really dig deep a little bit right there because maybe you're thinking a little different. What is love to you? What is love?
I don't know. It's just
She wasn't expecting all that.
yeah.
Yeah, because you know what? People could misinterpret what you're saying. So maybe you're probably thinking about relationship type of love. Maybe you're talking about love in general because, you got the love of your family, the love from your grandmother, your mother, people who love you.
Oh, I was thinking about relationships. That relationship
See, that's
stuff.
where I want to
Yeah.
get at because people could be listening right now and be thinking, okay, wow, she doesn't want any love in her life. She just wants
No.
money. Okay. All right. So you were talking about relationship
Yeah.
love. Okay. So basically you were saying you'd rather have money than be in a relationship.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That makes a little bit more sense, what we were talking about. So, all right. But what about just love in general? Could you live without love?
From your family, no.
All right.
That's what I think.
So would you choose money over the love of your family?
No, I had to go with the love of my family.
Okay, so now we're talking. See, I got to dig a little bit, right? So I'm putting you under pressure. I see you under your mask, stressing right now because I'm putting you on the spotlight. All right, Elijah, what would you pick?
If you talking just out in general, I'm gonna go with love because that was always one of my things. I want love before the money because that's how you know who's true and who sticks to you. I want to have love from other people before I actually get money. Before people see me for the money or whatever I'm doing for the money. I want to be able to receive love without, if I'm poor, if I'm homeless, be able to receive love for who I am, or what I do for people, or what people do for me. You know, and then you want money but no love, then that's all fake.
Okay. Lorena, you want to jump in here?
Sure. Honestly, I choose love because I feel like if I were to go homeless or be poor, I would rather have someone who's going to struggle with me, and I would rather have someone who's going to be like my permanent support system, and someone who is always going to know how I'm feeling when I'm feeling it, rather than having all this material things but not have any emotional connection to it or anyone else.
Thank you for sharing that. Now, I saved Chicken Hawk for last because he is the money man. Chicken Hawk, what would you pick? And I'm curious. What would you pick, love or money? He's sliding up to the mic, folks. The Chicken Hawk is speaking.
Money.
Now, why would you choose money? Break it down.
I don't exactly know.
All right, so can you do without love?
Yes.
All right, can you do without, all right, now I'm going to get personal. Can you do without your dad's love?
No.
No. All right, so can you do without the love of your family?
No.
No, so what would you choose, love or money?
Which love?
Oh, now see, Chicken Hawk gets technical now. Which love, just love in general. Say just love in general, love of people, love of your family, the people you love. Are you willing to switch that out for money?
Yes.
Yes. Explain it. All right, yeah, he is. But he talks money. But
Wait,
go ahead.
I thought you said the other way.
Oh, I meant as far as relationships.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, okay. Well, he meant relationships like girlfriend, boyfriend, wife, whatever, right? But basically, you're saying you were not trading the love of your family for money.
No.
Oh, okay. All right. I feel a little bit better. Because we base that. Me, I would choose love over money. I'm the oldest one here, obviously, but also I have mentors and people that I know that are older, and I know people who have money, but one thing they do regret is not having love. I know people with money that do not have love. They don't have the right people around them. They don't know what love is. Love is something that you can't put a price on.
Mm-hmm.
And for those young folks, a lot of times we get caught up with materialistic things. We see and we think this is what life is. We think this is the only way I'm going to get love, which is fake love. Like, for example, some kids want to wear a name brand item, and they feel as though if I get that name brand item, I'm going to be somebody.
Mm-hmm. And that's traumatizing.
That is traumatizing. So this is where we have the issues in schools when we talk about uniforms, right? Because it put kids under pressure feeling like, I hate dress down day because I can't afford these certain sneakers. You got certain kids that want to come in there with $200-$300 sneakers, but people fail to realize that you don't know how broke that family is just because the sneakers are $200-$300. They put all their money into those sneakers, but that kid is walking around with a certain status because they're name brand. Mm-hmm. One day near a handball court, and one of the young guys asked me, come run the game with us, Mr. Desamour. I said, no, I got my Timbs on today. He said, and? He goes, I got 2 other pairs at home. I said, okay, but these are the only pair I'm going to have for the next 2 years. And he kind of laughed at it, but then I took advantage of that moment. I said, and I was just taking a guess. I said, all right, I guarantee if I go to your house right now, you probably got a light bill or something off. And I was just joking around, and he says, how you know that? And they got into something where he thought I knew about his real background. But it just opened up the doors about where priorities lie and what you think love is, you know? So for me, I pick love. So let's jump into the weekly update. It's about to get touchy right now. Weekly update, what's on the wall is the Pentagon bans the Confederate flag from all military locations. On Thursday night, the Department of Defense Secretary issued a memo that essentially bans the Confederate flag from any military locations, right? The memo does not officially use the word ban or mention the word Confederate flag by name, but it lists what flags can be flown at the U.S. military locations. Any flags associated with the Confederacy are missing from the list. Decisions to do it this way bans the Confederate flag without actually having to say that it is banned. President Trump has been defending the right of people to display it as free speech. This way, the Department of Defense does not openly go against his belief, right? Do you think the Department of Defense, in essence of our military, did the right thing? Why or why not?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Why?
I say this because we all know how immature Trump is, and we all know how it seems like seemingly emotionally connected he is to everything that he can have any sort of power over. So I feel like they did do the right thing with not like explicitly banning the flag, but as long as they do have a consequence set up for anyone who does wave the flag. Because the Confederacy, we all know how blatantly racist that was. And we all know that people who wave the Confederate flag, you know, they try to put heritage over it, but the Confederate flag has nothing to do with heritage. The Confederate flag is all just racist. So, you know, like I feel like they did do the right thing, but as long as people who wave the Confederate flag will get a consequence for it, then that's where I stand.
Oh, Genesis? Yeah, I've been putting you on the spot lately.
I don't really know that much about the Confederate flag.
Now, no, and that's okay. Because guess what? How many people really don't know much about it, but they see the issues, the arguments, the debates about it. So what is it that you probably do know about it? And it's okay to answer that. What do you think about it? What do you know about it?
Like, it's just like racist. That's what I think.
Okay. All right. No, that's okay. All right. Because a lot of times folks are sometimes debating or arguing but don't know what they're debating or arguing about. And a lot of times, and I'm not talking about you, I'm just talking about with people in general. A lot of times I get upset personally, not that I'm siding with anybody, but I just get upset when people are quick to join a wave in a protest but don't know why you're protesting, because that's where we get confused, where people thinking protesting is just something hip or cool to do. No, there is meaning behind it, there is passion behind it, there is real rage, anger, and so much behind it. So a lot of times, even for those who are listening, there's nothing wrong. I don't want to say there's nothing wrong, but it's okay to say I don't know, but you need to research before, because if you think it's racism, instead of hearing someone say it, let me see for myself the history behind it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, Elijah.
Let me just. I'm gonna probably explain a lot about the Confederate flag because I know a lot about it. I'm big on history. So, first of all, what a lot of people do not understand is everything that goes behind the flag, like you said. But also, this is the Department of Defense. Their point is defend our freedom and all that. That flag stands for something that's the opposite of defending freedom, but taking away freedom from others. That is not what they are supposed to stand for. And if they were to let that stand in their base, that goes against their whole cause, their whole reason they're there. Right? The flag. That came from the war where our country had our own war from inside the country, where the country split up into two, and there became the Confederate States and the United States. And so, what was caused? This was when the slaves were starting to be let free. The farmers, southern farmers, they didn't like that. They still needed to make money from their crops that still needed to be sold. The United States, they're already done with that because they were all opening their eyes. They were all having eye openers at that time. All that. And so the people who believed that they still needed the slaves and that they believed that they had higher,
Mm-hmm.
ranking or whatever, were at the South.
Okay.
The people who believed that they needed freedom, they had rights like us, stay with the United
So the
States.
majority of that too was also about business, right?
Yes.
They were trying
And
to.
adding on to what he said, the whole point of the Confederacy was to leave the United States. So a lot of the people who wave the Confederate flag, they're waving in the name of they're waving, trying to be patriotic, and they're saying like, this is our country, this is American history, yada yada yada. But the Confederacy was trying to become its own country.
Wow.
So are you trying to stick with the U.S. or
Isn't
are you
that
trying
treasonous?
To
That
yes.
they were trying to. What they were doing in the war is they were all fighting for different parts. They were just trying to. Because you need 13 different colonies to become actually known as a country. You know what I mean?
It's pretty interesting because when I was younger and in school, I was never really taught on the Confederate flag and the meaning behind it. I was never taught on that.
Black history is hidden from a lot of public schools and U.S. schools because they're scared to show what had actually happened.
No, I actually believe that because I remember as a
There's
kid.
a lot of proof on it.
As a kid, one of my favorite shows, and you guys would not know this, but some of the older guys, it's called The Dukes of Hazzard, and it was a show. Their famous car, it's called the General Lee, and it had the Confederate flag right on the hood. I used to always want that car as a model and a toy, but I used to love the show because it was like two of my favorite characters on there. But I never knew the background or the history when I was younger. I was never taught that. No one ever came in and said, hey, do you know what that flag means? But we're going to keep up with this conversation before we move on to the next topic on the wall. But we're going to go to a break. Please stick around. Don't go anywhere. It's about to get intense. We got some great, bright people on set now, and we're having great discussions. I'm learning, and I hope you're learning. And let's keep it moving. All right? Stay tuned. You're listening to The Wall, where we witness achievements to life lessons.
What do you think you're doing, Kevin?
Was just gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
Like hearing voices?
Like your text-to-emoji ratio?
Oh man, the selfies. Selfie, nailed it.
We all have warning signs that let us know that we're probably not okay to drive. Mine is pretending to be your subconscious.
Craig, come on man, let's split a ride home.
If you love them enough to suck the snot out of their nose at 4 a.m., then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
Welcome back, everybody. You're listening to The Wall, where we witness achievements to life lessons. This is Edwin Desamour. We're live on Usala Radio. And, gentlemen, I failed to mention, I apologize early in the beginning, but he's the one who makes it happen. Dylan, thank you very much. He's the man behind the scenes that makes the magic happen. Chickahawk, what is next on The Wall? What is next?
Philosophical discussions.
All right, let's have that philosophical discussion.
What rights should every human have? Do you believe these rights should change based on age? Why or why not?
What rights should every human have? Do you believe these rights should change based on age? Why or why not? This is where it gets touchy, I think, for young people. Because a lot of times, especially right now, the age group I have in this room, you guys are struggling with being, independent, like, but you have to still depend on someone to survive. So, who's willing to take a shot at this? What rights should every human have? Do you believe these rights should change based on age?
No.
No. All right, Elijah, break it down.
You want me to go on? I'm gonna go on. Do you believe these rights should be changed based on age?
All right.
I believe that we all deserve the same rights, no matter anything that's on us, based on religion, based on our beliefs, based on our face, based on our hair, based on our size, even our age. I believe that somebody so young as my age could have had a harder life and harder thoughts and more traumatized than somebody that's 86. If you get where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
Because there's these rich people out here, all old. They having the best lives they ever had. Born rich, got old rich. Not a bother in the world. That's not. They have perfect lives. There's kids out here in Philly. They don't have fathers. Sometimes they don't even have mothers. Going to foster care. Probably get abused at their foster home. They live traumatizing lives, and it's just horrible if you hear about it. You couldn't imagine living a life like that, right? We either all have better or we all have worse. We don't know who has the worst. And for somebody to have rights based on age is something horrible to think about. Because you really want somebody who's rich at the age of 86 with not a bother in their life to have more authority over a kid they don't even know about.
Wow, pretty interesting. Any thoughts on that, Ron?
I completely agree.
Okay.
Like having rights based on your age, it sounds so dumb. Cause like if you were to put this in, like let's make this literal. Let's say someone who is under the age of 18 doesn't have a right to water, to shelter, to food, like to get by themselves. Let's say anyone who isn't 18, like younger than 18, can't buy food for themselves, can't buy water for themselves, can't buy a house for themselves, whatever. But everyone above 18 can. If we were to make this literal, why would we have to wait until we're 18 to provide for ourselves? Because there are a lot of people who just have to. Like there are a lot of homeless kids out here. There are a lot of kids who are living in really, really toxic households and they have to go. Why should we have to, like, I'm speaking specifically for the kids who kind of have to depend on themselves. Why should they have to wait until they're a certain age to do things that quote unquote mature people do, but they've matured a long time ago? Age shouldn't have to correlate with maturity.
Okay. No, pretty interesting. Oh, thank you for sharing that. Any other different thoughts on it, Genesis?
No, I agree.
You agree? Okay. Chicahawk? Chicahawk just nodded his head. He agreed. Chicahawk is in protest mode. I took her from behind the scenes, threw him in front of the cameras. No, I'm gonna ask a question that's not even on script here. Do you think that some of our laws are just backwards? It doesn't make any sense. Like, for example, there was a time where juveniles were eligible to get the death penalty and sentenced to life in prison, right?
They weren't.
They were. Like, you could sentence a juvenile from the ages, I think it was 11 or 12, all the way up to like 18. If they made a mistake, committed a crime, they could be sentenced to die. They were certified as an adult, right? And they could be sentenced to die, which is still going on. People are still fighting because there are juveniles still sentenced to life, even though it's deemed unconstitutional. But that's a law, right? That was a law that was there. Like,
There's some states that still keep death penalties.
Yeah, some states still keep that penalty, but then they say, well, you can't rent a car to the age of 25. You cannot, and I'm still totally against underage drinking, but they say you can't drink under the age of 21. You can't do many things under the age of 21 and under the age of 18, but it's easy for them to pass a law to
That's killing kids.
that's telling you we're treating you as an adult now. So it kind of, I mean, there's no real answer to everything, but it's just
It
things that make
flips
you
the
think.
way of what they're thinking. Because if you want to go back on this, you believe these rights should be based on age. You're talking about maybe we should make these kids less important than us. But then when you want to come to crimes and all that, all of a sudden you want to make it so we get the same punishments.
Yeah.
I believe that it's totally dumb, and you're flipping your own words. Because at the same time, these are children. They haven't lived their whole life yet. I haven't lived my whole life yet. 14 years. Did you know the oldest person in the world was like what, 111?
Yeah.
What am I compared to them? I didn't get to live my life. I didn't get to see the world. I didn't go around. I didn't buy my own house. I didn't get my own car.
But kind of like what you spoke about earlier, when we have kids who are growing up in foster care in rough conditions, who are treated a certain way, whose rights are violated, right? And people are not protecting them. Their human rights are not kind of like exercised out there. So you got kids making poor choices and poor decisions, and it leads to bigger mistakes where people say, you know what, we're going to treat you like an adult.
They haven't got the right to see their wrongs.
Yeah.
That's what I believe.
All right. Next up on the wall, topic of the day. Studies have shown that the part of our brain that helps us make good choices, in other words, choices where we have thought about the possible consequences, don't develop fully until the early 20s. When you think about the major decisions kids have to make before then. So we talk about driving, first experiencing unsupervised friend activities, dates, nights out, stuff like that. For experience in relationships, where to go to college, what career to choose for yourself. Do you think teens are in good position to be able to be making these big decisions about their own lives? Why or why not? So do you think teens are capable of making decisions when they start driving? When to experience, because I know this is a big one here. I'm ready. I'm the only adult in this room, I think, right now. But yeah. For this one here, the first experience unsupervised friend activities and date nights. And also experience in relationships. Where to go to college. Do you think that you guys are capable of making these decisions on your own?
Nope.
Wow, that was honest.
Nope, not at all.
Believe how it was you or how you were raised. I believe on your environment. You can't always depend on children to make their own choices because you don't know what high kind of choices they had to make before. Because some kids, all the choices they only had to make was what type of ice cream you want, what type of food you want. There's also some kids that they had to make the decisions of, do I have to steal this money? Do I have to rob this store? Do I have to blah, 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 all that. There's a lot of kids who have been asked different things in their headsets or by different people. So I believe that it's totally not all of us are able to make those same choices. Maybe some can, depending on how they were raised and how they were built by their environment, you know.
Yeah.
But there's also some kids who had the worst and they
All right,
can't
now
know better.
I'm going to push a little bit then. How do you guys feel about unsupervised friend activities? Because I'm a father, and I know that was touchy, but kind of like Elijah. Remember when you wanted to hang out with your friends? I was the dad in the background walking around in the mall while you were with your friends. I know you felt some type of way about it, but did you understand, or do you understand why I was that dad in the background?
I understand, but at the same time, I'm not saying this for my own benefit.
Matter of fact, that day I ran into your parents at the mall.
Yeah,
That same exact day, I was out there chaperoning Elijah and his friends.
Yeah, all right, listen. So at the same time, I'm not saying this for my benefit, but at the same time, you should listen. I believe that all the parents, for the kids that are listening, that where this is a world full of hate and just craziness, and so it's really hard for us to live in this without something bad happening to us once in a while. And so crazy, terrible stuff happen to people every single day. What's the chance that it would not be one of us? And I believe that our parents, that sometimes you shouldn't see it in the most craziest way, as if they're, oh my God, get off my back, you know? It's just like they really care about me. They want me to be safe. They want me to make sure that I'm also having fun though. Like, I believe that you should take it easy sometimes on your parents, because they're still adjusting to. Some parents still have to adjust to this, and then also I believe that you they had 14. I'm 14. My dad just raised a kid for 14 years. If not, he also had other sons. Of course he's worried. He basically gave life. It was his turn to give and benefit. And so you guys got to be like, you guys got to realize they care about us, cuz not only did they raise us, but they gave life to us. It was their choice to have us. So they can't just give up.
And it's not only that, they know things that we don't.
All right. And then this is also what I'm going to say to the parents.
Uh-oh.
Listen.
Parents, are you listening? Turn up the radio.
Listen. I'm say this in like this. I'm gonna try my best to say this. Sometimes you have to let your kid grow. This is a really tough world, and I understand. Just like I was saying, crazy stuff happens. But you also have to let them adapt to it on their own. Because what happens when they're 21 and you're still babying them? What they supposed to do? Still live with you? What they're supposed to do? They're supposed to make a benefit off themselves, and they have to be ready to go to the mall by themselves. Sometimes with friends, they got to be able to enjoy life. You can't baby them for life. And then once you send them out into the world on their own, kind of like birds, how are they supposed to know to fly if you've just been babying them all their life? Sometimes you just got to kick them out the nest. Not like that, but just give them a good push. Or let them be them when it's good to start. Probably at my age, a bit younger, who knows. But you just got to remember that this is a kid. I'm 14. Really look at it. In a few years, I'm going to be driving, probably. In a few years, I'm going to have my own ID. I'm going to be walking around buying stuff without my parents around. You feel me? Just like...
Well, there's a saying that once you have a child, the world becomes dangerous. Right? We already knew the world was dangerous, but for some reason, once you have a child, it becomes so much more dangerous. So it's kind of like that paranoia. So I'm listening to just along with the parents. You know, sometimes we struggle with that. You know, I also have a 20-year-old son who just started a new job, and my biggest stressors are him catching the bus to work and me trying to protect that. I can't be everywhere at all times, and I got to trust that he's going to be okay and make it back and forth. So there is a struggle with parents, and I'm hoping young people that are listening understand that. You know, parents, we're not just trying to be mean and overbearing, but we're scared. We're scared of what can happen, what can happen possibly in this world. You know, many people know. For those who don't know, who listen to the radio, you know, I lost one of my sons 6 or 7 months ago, and it puts you on another level of like being paranoid, you know, because you're afraid. Yeah, life is so precious, and you want to protect that at all times. So before we move on, do you have any advice for young folks that struggle with their parents?
I guess I'd say to understand that your parents know more than you do, and no matter how grown you think you are, you're not grown. So just I feel like for the parents listening, understand that we want to be independent and we want to learn how to take care of ourselves. But for the kids, understand that, you know, they know more things than us, so we have to let them take care of us every once in a while.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Genesis?
Just let your parents worry about you. That's just my thing. Just like let them care, let them be allowed to care for you.
Now let's be honest. Is it irritating sometimes?
Yes.
Yeah, 100%.
Is it irritating sometimes? Yeah, but you do understand, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like what's irritating. We got to wear masks and social distance for, you know, to be safe. Wearing this mask is irritating. Trying to talk into this mic. Matter of fact, we're on video now, probably looking like a bunch of people demanding something online or holding someone hostage, or some type of secret society making demands. But let me move on to the next one. Because teenage brains are still developing, they are less likely to consider long-term impacts of their decisions and more likely to make decisions based on seeking excitement, making decisions on impulse, looking for a quick gain, having trouble delaying or being willing to wait for gratification, deciding based on peer pressure. So, it's very difficult too. We understand that young people, their brains are still developing, so everything is not easy. So you guys are put under pressure. And I also, since we're on this topic, I think about a lot of our young folks that are out here that don't have that village. We spoke about you having a village, right? Janice has a village. My boys have a village. So a lot of times when I run across people are like, wow, your boys are so well spoken. When people see Janice, they're like, wow, she's so smart, she's articulate. When folks meet you, you see that, but then you can see what comes behind that. But we do have a generation that are bright just like you. We have a bunch of youth out there that are bright just like you guys, but they don't have the support.
They're leading movements.
Yeah.
We all have different environments.
Different environments, and it's kind of like we need to find a way as a society to bring that back. Where if we do understand that a young person doesn't have that at home, how can other people, such as myself, your parents, and everyone else, in which they've already been playing that big part, and your aunt, on how can we make sure that we step up as a village to make sure these young people get something? And a lot of that I'm talking about, it goes back to the main topic, the most important thing, love. Love is crucial, man. Love is important. How do we love on each other, and how do we love our young folks to make sure? Because if we love, they can be successful. You ever heard that saying where parents that are rich, they just give their kids money? Yeah. Here you go. But the kid is still bitter. The kid is still angry. Believe it or not, this might even be controversial what I'm about to say, but the majority, if you go down Allegheny Ave, the opioids, the epidemic out there, the majority of the folks that you see laying around out there come from a background of wealth. A lot of them come from a family that has money. So you're wondering what happened that led to that.
They were babied for too long, and they got pushed out their nest and couldn't fly. Simple
Adding
as that.
on to what he said, wow, I just completely forgot what I was going to say. Adding on to what he said, something that I noticed that's wrong with schooling is that we all know, kids nowadays, we spend more time in school or worried about school than we do with our families. So while we might have a village, during the school year, we're not spending much time with them. So, exactly like he said, the baby for too long and they pushed out the nest, they don't know anything of how to do anything. We spend more time, I want to emphasize this, we spend more time in school than we do with our families, right?
Yes.
So why is it that we're not learning essential skills in school?
Wow.
But we're expected to learn with our families? Why are we not learning how to drive in school? We're not learning trade. We're not learning how to do taxes. We're not learning how to buy.
Wow, I never thought about that. Having driving lessons at school.
We're not, literally, if you go barely 40 miles south to Delaware, you can go to a school that teaches trade and how to drive.
Really?
Yeah.
Never heard of that.
But we're spending more time worried about school. We're spending more time worried about getting a degree and getting an education and going to school for as long as possible to do whatever. Why am I not learning how to do these important things as I'm growing up, so that when I can finally go, I know what I'm doing?
Yeah.
And what teachers love to say, like during high school and middle school, make mistakes now, so that when you're in the real world, you don't make them. What mistakes am I supposed to make now if I don't know what mistakes to make?
Wow.
And like you were saying earlier, with children being on death row, these children didn't know that the mistakes that they were making were going to cost them their lives because we never taught them.
Yeah. Or their brains still wasn't.
Their brains aren't developing correctly.
Yeah.
Their brains don't know what's right from what's wrong. Their brains don't know what is vital for their lives and what's not. They don't know that.
Yeah.
So we expect kids to make mistakes, but we're not teaching them what mistakes to not make or what mistakes to make.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense to me.
No, it's pretty interesting that you say that, because I do a lot of work outside of this, and through the years, I've worked with many kids who were on these streets, who didn't really have that type of village or background to give them support. So I was one of those folks that came along to help push them, get them to where they need to get them through school. So some of them actually made it to college, but a lot of them made it to college. And then what I found was the biggest struggle was how to live and adapt out there.
50% of black and brown boys drop out of high school by sophomore year.
Wow.
And it's because they don't have the village. They don't know how to take care of themselves.
This is where it's important.
Hmm.
This is where it's important.
I wanted to say something based on school, because that was brought up. And I don't want, if y'all are listening, this is my opinion. You guys don't gotta go by it, but I think that a lot of people should know that school, like what we said, it does not have a lot of things that you need in life that are essential.
Hmm.
It teaches you some starter things, which I believe are for the younger kids and that we do need. Our ABCs, whatnot, words, how to read. We need that in life. Later on, it teaches you about different history in our past, math, all that. You could use that. Maybe if you want to become a historian.
Hmm.
You could use that if you maybe want to become you want to work at NASA, or just do something with math. I believe that you should go all the way with school, but if you really want to do something that does not involve school, don't do school. You want something to do with music, you could do school, but best thing to do is focus on your music career if that's your real dream. If you have a dream, you chase that dream, because sometimes school doesn't always offer you the chance to chase that.
Pretty interesting.
Hmm.
Jump real quick into the quote of the day. Life is about choices. Some we regret, some we are proud of. Some will haunt us forever. The message we are what we choose to be. Now, that's by Graham Brown. So we have a special treat today. Raina's going to treat us to some poetry. She's a poet.
Yeah.
So how long have you been doing poetry?
I've been writing since 7th grade, but it wasn't until quarantine that actually really got me back into it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we're going to take this time in a minute, and if you could bless us with some poetry, we're going to sit here and listen.
Dope. Okay. So this is called When Racism is a Drug, and this is about, the Black Lives Matter movement and police brutality and things of that sort. When you encounter a racist white cop, they will most likely be bald and sweaty. You will notice something wrong with this one. This one isn't like the ones you saw in the picture books in kindergarten. This one already doesn't like you. It's not in your nature to automatically think of presumption of guilt, so you try to figure out what could be wrong with you. Maybe you smell funny. Maybe you have something in your teeth. Maybe your music is too loud. You can barely understand what he's saying. His face looks more red than healthy. As he speaks slurred words of intolerance and aggression to you, you realize that hero can so easily be villain. You realize that he thinks he is hero and you are villain, but you are a mere background character. You are an extra in this narrative of POLICE versus POC. How could this happen to you? Your mind morphs into a forbidden forest. Your heart feels a fee-fi-fo-fum, and the giant's feet are now yours. You notice his eyes are red. He is shaking, and the ignorance in his speech replaces the foam. When you connect the dots, you will want to say, white cop on drugs. When was your last overdose? You walk through life looking through eyes of black and brown, and you don't see pupil. The very pupils that attracted and sucked in trauma, their pupils are black holes. That at ages when you were learning your times tables, they were learning how to walk in the street, how to use pocket items as weapons, how to speak to officers like you. But officers like you don't see pupil, you see gun barrel. Officer, your eyes are thermal cameras. You equate melanin with danger because the warmer the color, the closer the peril, right? You can predict the future because you just knew George Floyd's forged check was so risky to your armed men in blue. You can see through walls because Breonna Taylor's sleeping body was such a threat to you. She looked so beautiful resting, so you gave her the gift of rest forever, right? Would you even consider yourself an addict? I know that stress can make you aggressive and violent, but I will not sympathize with you. This is what you call black and brown people, and as a brown woman, I can assure you that we are nothing of the sort. I don't think your Pepto-Bismol is strong enough. Your senses have dangerously heightened. They strip you of your humanity. You strip us of our humanity. So, officer, I will ask again. Would you even consider yourself an addict? When you cuff up a suspicious black person for assumption of dealing, or a Latino who looks a little too foreign to be clean, do you stash the drugs in your pocket? Allow me to paint the picture. You sneak into the guest bathroom of your 4,000 square foot home. You snort the lines of animosity and down the tablets of prejudice just enough to make you feel good. The drugs make you feel good. Officer, do you share the drugs with your children? Do your children know that daddy thinks they're so beautiful he can never value anyone who doesn't look like them? Do you even bother to hide your addiction? Do you even bother to hide your addiction? Do you even bother to hide your addiction? Officer, you are a groundbreaking scientific discovery. As far as we know, intoxication has never been contagious, but your little high drops bodies like dominoes. Your hatred for people who bleed red just like you is beyond human understanding. Officer, if you know drugs are deadly, why are you afraid of being sober? Officer, if you know bullets are attracted to melanin, why do you play matchmaker? Officer, if you know exactly how to de-escalate situations, why do you act on impulse? White people were the only ones who were never told to be civil. You scream out, all lives matter, and I don't see color, but go out of your way to dim the light of the vibrant. I should really stop calling you officer. You don't honor the oath when you're high.
Ooh. Thank you. And for the adults that are listening, for those that are 35 and up, this is the young people clap with their fingers. They snap their finger. I see Dylan back there. That's the millennials. They don't clap hands anymore. They snap fingers. I've learned that a while back. But beautiful.
Thank you.
That was awesome. That was incredible. Very passionate, and you're gifted.
Thank you.
And we appreciate you being here today. And hopefully you could join the family and join on us on many other shows or pop in anytime you want. Any last words from anyone? We got a bunch of young people who look tired.
Because you woke me up.
Because I woke them up to get to the show. But for folks who listen, let's keep this conversation going. Let's keep it going. And if you have any questions, email us, talk to us. If you have any comments, let us know, even if you disagree. But we're willing to talk about it. All right. So thank you for listening today. This is Edwin Desamour. You listen to The Wall, where we witness achievements to life lessons. Have a great one. Only on Woosla Radio. Have a good one, everybody.